You can use anything to cover it, but what you're doing is you're stopping anything falling into it, and you're stopping the water from evaporating, because any water evaporating will change the strength of the glue. And the danger of putting a cloth over it is if the cloth accidentally goes in it a bit, you're just going to soak all the water up.
Would it be a silly question to ask, what is the glue going to be used for?
Well, we're going to use it throughout, for pretty much everything we do.
Right.
It's the basis of everything.
Right.
So we're going to use it to make gesso, we're going to use it to make gilding water, which is what we stick the gold on, we're
Right.
going to use it to make our bowl. Paint is just glue and pigment. So, you can use all different types of glue, but, acrylic paint is basically PVA and pigment or similar. But this is a paint that we're going to make of various sorts, this is the basis of it. So I mentioned cloths for a minute. I'm just going to backtrack a little bit and go over these. So in your pile of cloths, from the top, you've got a piece of muslin there. You've got a piece of beautiful raw silk from the Whitchurch silk mill, working silk mill driven by the River Test. You've got a piece of washed cotton sheet, and you've got a couple of cloths, one glass cloth and one sort of general purpose so that's the one for wiping dirty stuff off your hands. This one we'll use for buffing, wax and so forth. This don't use the washed cotton sheet for general purpose for dirty things. That is part of the process we'll use. And the silk we're using to reinforce the corners, the muslin for filtering. So just backtracking onto those. Okay, so has everyone done their bit? Everyone got their 30 mil and 240. So 3/8 of 24, 30 times 8 is 240. So it's an 8-to-1 mix, which hopefully it says 1 part crystals, 8 part water. That's on the first part of the process. Sorry, Rich.
So how long does it last?
Good question, very good question. This is brilliant stuff. This is, bringing all these points out. Okay, this is organic, this mix. So I find it'll last about 3 or 4 days comfortably, even in the summer, out of the fridge. You can put it in the fridge, and in which case it'll probably last a couple of weeks. We have for years put it in the freezer. And when I sort of, invented that technique, because I hadn't heard of anyone else doing it, I looked up soup making and about freezing soup, because I thought it's got to be similar and it's okay to freeze soup apparently, and it works. I mean, we've done it and it's worked for us for years. Fridge, I think it's probably better practice to just use up what you make as soon as possible, but certainly in the fridge it'll last beautifully for up to a couple of weeks. Good question, Rush, thanks. Okay, now, so we're going to take now our pre-soaked one. Everyone done their mix? Okay, so if you cover that over and put it in the back of your bench somewhere, one of your little wild panels, percy. I'll just put it out of the way. Remember, it'll be a couple of hours before we come back to that. So now take the one that I prepared earlier in the blue and put it in the pan. So just a word on this. Everything, every YouTube video or anything will tell you to do this. We'll tell you to do a bain-marie. And to put it in some water to keep the heat even and so forth. Now this is quite good for what we're doing here, because it's going to keep it nice and warm consistently. I've switched Roger's burner off now, so I suggest you switch your burners off. This will keep it nice and warm till we come back to it. Thing is about these little burners, they are really good because you can leave them on one and it won't ever boil it, it won't ever get it too hot. So they're very controllable, size to the point where in the workshop I don't bother with the bain-marie at all. I just go straight in the saucepan and I leave that on. But you've got to be very careful. And of course, if you're ever in a hurry and you're trying to heat it up quickly, do not leave. And there's some very good videos on YouTube, and there's one girl who mentions 60 degrees, and she says if you ever get it above 60 degrees, throw it away. Well, I'm not sure I'm going to go that far, but remember what I said, you don't want it to evaporate. That's the thing, you don't want it to evaporate. And never boil it. If you do boil it, then throw it away. We'll stir it in a minute, yeah. Just put that there to allow the heat to permeate through. So everyone's at that stage, good. Okay, now we're up to 10:30, interestingly enough, or 10:31, because that was supposed to take a minute. Right, so obviously we've got our frame.